This is me trying to gather my pearls before I dive into this video because I have 42 black romance books to recommend you guys. Finally filming this. Okay, hello booktubing world. It is I, Capri Nicole, and I'm back with another video. So today I'm exhausted, okay, because I had like an ongoing list of just books that I was putting together specifically for this video, and most of them I've read. Some of them are newer and they're coming out this year, but I went through them again today and I wrote like notes on the ones that are kind of newer to me. There are 42 romance books that I'm gonna be recommending you guys today. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. But yeah, it was a lot of writing. It took a lot of time, a lot of screenshots, but I hope you guys can get really good recommendations from this list. I have 32 black rom-com books to recommend by black authors, and then I have 10 that have black characters, but their love interest is a different race, but they're not two black leads. So 32 of the books are two black leads, and then 10 of them are interracial romances. I know the book community be up in arms about two things. One, are audiobooks reading, and two, are black romance books still considered black romance if it's an interracial romance? Technically no, because interracial romance is an interracial romance. That's just what it is. And a black romance is a romance with two black characters. That's just what it is. That's literally verbatim what it is. So there really should be no debate on that. However, for those of you that don't mind interracial romance or don't mind me adding these in to this recommendation, I have 10, but a majority of these books, 32 of them to be exact, are with two black leads by a black author. And I feel like everyone's always saying there's no black rom-com books, there's not enough black rom-com books. There are black rom-com books. I just don't think authors always pitch their books as rom-coms. I don't know why. I know you better get your... Anyway, a lot of black authors don't pitch their books as black rom-com books unless you look in the description or you look at the reviews or look at blog posts or whatever. Then they'll say, oh, like, oh, this is a really great romantic comedy or whatever. But usually when they're pitching their book, they don't just automatically say this is a black rom-com. I'm not sure why. When I was making this list, I looked for tag words like funny, rom-com, romantic comedy. I read through reviews to see if everyone said, oh, I laughed out loud or it was really funny. And to me, that would be considered a rom-com. A couple of these books may have some heavier topics like being a parent, sexism, racism, stuff like that. That's just something that's like included in the plot, but overall, the book in general is still considered a rom-com. So, let's get into the list. So, the first little section that I'm going to cover are going to be YA books, and then we're going to get into all of the other books. And I also have KU books, and like I said, the last 10 will be interracial romance books, so I'm excited to bring them to you. Most of them have really cute covers too. I'm really just digging the cartoon vibes. I know the cartoon covers aren't for everybody, but I'm excited for them. Okay, so the first one that I have is Simone Breaks All the Rules. And I read this a couple years ago, I think in 2021, and I really enjoyed this. It was hilarious. I highly recommend the audiobook because the main character's parents have like accents and like sayings they say as like an older generation. I'm pretty sure she's African or Jamaican or something like that, but her parents just are hilarious. Like, they carried this book. I'm sorry, but this one basically follows Simone, and I believe she goes to an all-girl high school. She always follows the rules. She listens to her parents, but then her parents want to pick her prom date, and she's like, I don't want to do that. Like, actually, I don't want to do that. And they ended up picking her prom date, and it's a boy that she's always had issues with, or she's always like, they're basically like enemies for no reason, you know, as like teenagers. They don't like each other for no reason, and she kind of bucks on them for that. And she decides, you know what, this is my time. I'm gonna make a list of things that I want to do, and I'm gonna break all the rules. Like, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. Ain't nobody gonna stop me. You know what I'm saying? And I love that. Like, I like to see a character get more comfortable with doing things that make them happy because they're so used to coloring in the lines. You know what I'm saying? You gotta scribble a little bit sometimes. It's okay to go outside the lines. And like I said, I highly recommend the audiobook. It was funny. Her parents were funny. She ended up ganging up with a few other girls who also followed everything by the book. It was a cute little friendship group. It was fun following her along with like her to-do list and her love interest. I believe she had her love interest. She had 2 love interests in this book. I'm pretty sure it was like a unexpected love triangle, you know? And she's leading up to her prom date, and this was just so much fun. It was hilarious. To me, I was cracking up. I would listen to the audiobook. I thought it was hilarious. I had to go and buy the physical copy because, I'm sorry, this is just so beautiful. Like, it has little butterflies and stuff on it, so yeah, highly recommend this one. Okay, the next one I have is another favorite, and it is Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl. And this one has a little bit of a, you know, heavier topics in it, like religion and sex positivity and stuff like that. Toxic traits within parents. So it's not like super funny, like super bubbly, everything's great, everything's wonderful, because the main character, she has been dating her boyfriend for like 5 years or whatever, and they're getting, you know, to the age where they want to explore sex together, safe sex together, but her body is like closing up. Like, she just is not, it's just not going down. It's just not happening. And her parents are also, she's also a PK's kid, so her parents are completely closed door on anything involving sex, any type of sex positivity. There is no sex positivity in their house. They are very strict. They don't have an open door for their kids to have just basic questions or conversations about their body. So she kind of feels lost. She ends up befriending this young man who is like the rebel of the church. He's kind of like the kid that just is like super like class clown vibes. He makes everyone laugh. He never takes anything too serious, and he has a bad rep, but he is a really good kid. And this young lady who is like, she's looked at as like the perfect church girl, but as they all become friends, they get to know each other and see that all of their reputations aren't exactly what they expect them to be. And really, I just loved the friendship group in this. I loved the conversations around sex and sex positivity and safe sex, and getting to know herself and her relationship and her parents' expectations. There also was a really good sister dynamic in here that I enjoyed. I loved seeing her interact with her older sister, and just the entire conversation around religion was interesting. But overall, this friendship group, they just had me cracking up. Like, they were just doing so many different silly things to get her to loosen up and get more comfortable with who she is and learn things about her body and just step outside of the norm. So if you're looking for something that's YA, that's funny, that's a good time, it has a good friendship group, I highly recommend this one. Okay, so the next one I have to recommend is Unfairly Cute and Highly Suspicious. So this one is by Talia Hibbert, and this was her first like YA book that also had 2 black leads, and it's basically following the main character, who's a football player who has OCD. He's off the top of his academics for all of his classes, but his ex-best friend is thriving in said class. She's kind of looked at as the weird black girl. She dresses different. She has interest in aliens and UFOs and whatever, so everyone is just like kind of worn off of her. They don't want to be anywhere near her, have no parts. They grew up as best friends, and as they continued on, they kind of grew apart, so they're no longer best friends, but there is a survival course going on for the specific class, and they end up getting paired together, so they kind of like revive their friendship. It slowly turns into a romance. So I've heard good things about this. The cover is adorable, and it says that it's really funny, and I think Talia Hibbert does a really good job at adding humor to her book, so I highly recommend this one as well. Okay, the next one that I have to recommend is Love Radio, and I absolutely love this one. Honestly, even though it's YA, it felt like they were in their 20s. I just wish it was aged up, but that's okay. It was really good. It follows a main character who was like a radio host. He gives advice to people for their relationship status and helps them navigate through any questions they have as far as that's concerned. And the other main character, who is like this prestigious girl that is head in the books, like she don't give a damn what's going on. She just trying to succeed and follow the academics. Like I don't know, I love like a uppity sedity academic black girl, because like they're so driven and they always get paired up with like the silliest, funnest love interest. There's a scene where like he helps her take her hair down, and just like there's scenes where they actually start actively dating, just the ideas that he comes up with and the nervousness he feels around her. It's just so well written. There is a little bit of a heavier topic that's included with this book, so please check trigger warnings if you're someone who's easily triggered. I do recommend you check those triggers. But overall, he's a very funny main character, and he also has things that he's dealing with, which is also a little bit of a heavier topic as far as his family is concerned. So there's that. But overall, just their dynamic together is just so fun, because he's hilarious, and I just love both of their drive as far as like getting into college goes and their own interests. And I also love their friendship groups, and it just was fun. So I highly recommend that one. I have 2 more YA books, and then we'll get into the adult books, you know what I'm saying. All right, so the next one that I have to recommend is Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry. And I've recommended this book before for if you love the book To All the Boys I've Loved Before, that whole series and TV show and stuff like that. It's very similar to that. It follows the main character, who is this prestigious black girl that is an academic. She's in an upper class, and her family wants what's best for her, but she has different goals and different thoughts. But because she knows her family probably won't agree with them, she writes everything down in her notebook. And she's a girly that loves to write lists, so she jots down everything down in her notebook for specifically what she wants to do, what she doesn't want to do, what she's feeling, what she hasn't told anyone. And she ends up losing that notebook, and she loses it while one of her, like, he's not an enemy, but they don't like each other, and they go to school together, while he's at her house and they're doing a project together. So she thinks it's him, but she can't figure out who it is, and someone starts blackmailing her and slowly leaking her information from her notebook. So they kind of team up together. He introduces her to his friends to try to find the notebook and also help her find herself as well. If you're a black girl that grew up in suburbia or whatever, you know that little gray area where you don't feel very welcomed. He kind of like welcomes her into his world and gets her more comfortable with his friends, and it's just a very nice coming of age story. And it's funny, like his friends were hilarious and he was funny, and she was just very stiff and she was getting on my nerves. But I still recommend the book, and I still think it's hilarious. The next one that I have to recommend is Now That I Found You, and I love this one. I listened to it on audiobook. I also love the friendship dynamic in this. YA does not get enough recognition for their friendship groups. They're so cute. Like, the friendship groups are the funnest part. This is set in New York. It's following the main character that was an up-and-coming actress. Her grandmother is very well known. Everyone loves her. She's like a legend in Hollywood, and she was doing great. But then a video goes viral of her kind of making fun of one of the directors or something like that on a movie that she's starring in, and she loses all her opportunities, and she kind of gets blacklisted, and she has a friendship breakup. So it's just like completely just disrupts her entire life. She ends up going to New York where her grandmother lives to just reconnect with acting and getting the opportunity to jump back in. And the funniest part of this was the fact that she thought she was like Beyonce. Like, she was literally wearing caps and like hiding her face and wearing shades or whatever, so no one will recognize her. And the love interest was someone who was helping her grandmother like around the house, grabbing groceries for her. He's a musician as well, and he was like, girl, like, nobody is checking for you. Like, this is New York. Like, no one is looking for you. No one probably even knows who the hell you are. So that was just funny to me, because she would just be like, you know, trying to hide and disguise herself, and he was just like, baby, no one is checking for you, like, chill. So he kind of navigates and helps her through like being in New York for the summer, gets to know her his friends, and it's just funny. I had a good time. I recommend the audiobook because the voice actor did a really good job with the different characters, and just a fun time, honestly. Okay, now let's get into the romance books. I'm so excited to talk about these because some of these I haven't seen anyone talking about, and a lot of these are coming out this year, so let's get into it, okay? So the first little group of books that I have to recommend is Mimi Grace's books. Okay, Mimi Grace's book. The first one that I have to recommend is Make a Scene. I have been shoving her books down everyone's throat since I read it a couple of years ago, and I've read all of her books except one, but I love all of them. They're short romance authors. Hello, they're short, they're to the point, they're uniquely written, they're fun, they're hilarious, and the characters really just stand out for who they are. And this is basically following, like, they're not business rivals, but they're in the same little plaza, and the business next to her ends up leaving or whatever, and his business moves in right next to her. She has a bakery and he has a boxing gym or whatever. Because the system that works in the parking lot, because you know it's limited spaces, whoever is like the OG and the vetted people can park in specific places, but obviously they're new, they don't know that. So when she goes to get this VIP spot and sees his car parked there, she just like, what the hell, what's happening here? So she kind of goes off. He doesn't understand why. Basically, like, get into a stupid argument about the parking lot. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is the one where I think her cousin is dating her ex or marrying her ex or something like that, and now all of her family's like jumping down her throat, asking her when she's getting married, who she's dating, whatever, and they're inviting her to the wedding and wanting her to show up and be a part of all these things. It couldn't be me, because if a family member marries one of my exes, I don't want to see none of y'all. Like, y'all are not hearing from me. I'm not showing up to the wedding. Y'all can kiss my but she wants to show up and save face, because honestly she's really not thinking about this man, but she wants her family to leave her alone. So she kind of gives him the idea to like be in this fake dating situation so that she can slide under the radar, go to the wedding with him, and have her family leave her be. But they end up having a romance, and honestly I just love their dates. They had a little carnival date in this one. I love their banter. I just think he's has like a dry humor. He's not like blatantly like class clown, but she's kind of quirky, and he just has this dry humor, and their pairing together I just think is so cute. I love their little dates and like their slow burn and how he looked out for her when he met her family, and it just was fun. Like, Mimi Grace's books are fun, they're short, and the covers are adorable, so highly recommend this one. The next book that I have to recommend is another Mimi Grace book, and it is Take a Hike. I love this one, and it was so fun because it follows the main character who is kind of like, she's not down on her luck, but she's kind of trying to find her way of like what she wants to do next, what she wants to follow as far as her dreams are concerned. And it turns out her mother's ex recently passed away, and in his will he left her his like survival course trail thing, and there's already a group of people that are there, and they were working under him before he passed away, and they assumed that the assistant manager would be the person that would take the reins, because he was like basically the second in command. So you know, he knows everything, he know whatever. And she ends up getting the business in the will, and so she's excited. She's like, oh, I get to show up, I get to try something new, I get to do something different, I'm gonna be the best new employee ever, business owner, whatever. She's trying to learn things. She's trying to welcome, you know, come into it with like a bright smile and, you know, good intentions. And they're not happy because they don't feel like she deserves it. They don't know where the hell she came from, and they want the assistant manager to get the opportunity. So they're all pissy where she shows up, and she's not an outdoorsy girl, so she just doesn't know as much as them, and they all have their roles, and she's just trying to fit in and just like be a good business owner. And they end up sparking up a romance, and he like has a reason to despise her. Like, she literally took his job basically. Like, he still has his job, but she took his business, so he's pissed. But he ends up falling for her. There's like he has like a rescue squirrel that he takes care of. It's just cute. Like, it's just really cute. I love the found family vibes. Everyone has like different roles and different things they do, and I just love their scenes together. The scenes are fun. They're definitely funny. There's one scene that happens, I'm not gonna spoil it, but it was hilarious, and it's just fun. Like, it really is just a fun time, and we have a big boy main character. Like, we need more big boys in romance. Like, I love to see it. Cover is cute. She's a fun character. He is also grumpy and standoffish, but he is just such a sweetheart. He has a literal rescue squirrel that he named, okay? So adorable. Like, literally the cutest. And could you imagine this being a show? Like, and if anyone that works for Netflix is watching this, please pitch some of these black romance ideas to Netflix, okay? We need something new, we need something funky, we need something fresh, and there's so many black romance books that would be great on film. Okay, we're getting closer to the books that I have not talked about before. If you're an OG subscriber, some of these books you probably heard me talk about before, but the further down the list we get, the more I get to talk about new books, and I'm excited. But the next one that I have to talk about is another book that's a favorite, and it is by the book. It's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it's following a main character who works in publishing, and this main character who is he's like a rich and famous kid. He basically, his parents are famous, he grew up famous, and he kind of is like looked at as like the grumpy guy that don't want to talk to nobody but got a whole bunch of money and is in this big house. But he gets a publishing deal and he's supposed to write this book. He has not sent any drafts to the publishers, and they're like, yo, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're sending him emails like, what's happening? He's not responding. So she's like, I'll go and talk to him, whatever. I'll get him to say something to me. And so they were like, okay. So they sent her on her way because she wouldn't prove herself, child. She's actually bored at the publishing company and feeling like she's not getting as many opportunities. So she wants to do something new. So she goes over there. She ends up getting hurt. So this is a forced proximity book. And she kind of is like stuck in this house with him. And he's super grumpy. He don't want to write this damn book. He don't want to talk about it. But she slowly gets him to start writing things down, getting more comfortable with her, being more open and stuff like that. And one of my favorite parts about this book is like there's a touch of magical realism in it. Like, it's not directly answered, but like there are small little things that happen magically in the book that is just like cute. It's like a cute little touch and a little nod to like Beauty and the Beast. And it really was fun. They're both foodies, so they have so many scenes where they're eating food together, and just their whole dynamic is just funny and fun. So I highly recommend this book. And the ending, I love the ending. Like, the ending was what added a star to my rating, because just like them last like 20, I think 10 or 20 pages was like my favorite part. But yeah, their dynamic is hilarious. So if you're looking for a good laugh, something fun and cute, then I recommend this. Okay, so I know y'all have seen this book before, but this is The Dating Project, and this one is following this girl that tweet goes viral, I guess, with two other women who find out they're all dating the same man, and then they decide to come together and be best friends and kind of like hunker? Is it hunker or bucker? Hunker down. I think it's hunker down on like not dating men for 6 months, getting their life together, focusing on themselves, and just kind of like, you know, building their friendships, whatever. But she ends up meeting this man child that's fine, and she kind of like, I'm about to take back this little pat we done made. So this book is following her romance with him, and the other two books are following the other two girls from this like catastrophe that went viral. Could you imagine like a viral dating scheme like of a man that all y'all are dating? I would rather die. Like, that is so humiliating, but they made a friendship out of it, so we love to see it. Speaking of, the next book is The Dating Playbook, which is the second book in the series, and it follows the main character who is a personal trainer, and she's broke, okay? Like, the bills are piling up. She needs a big break financially so that she can overcome, I guess, like all of the financial issues she's having. And there is a guy that she meets who is a former NFL player, and he really wants to get back into the game. So they kind of work together, and then there ends up being like this fake dating trope that could benefit both of them, and then they end up falling for each other. So I just think that's cute. I've heard really good things about this book specifically. Out of all three of the books, this one seems to be everyone's favorite, so I recommend that one if you like fake dating. And then the third one is the third book in the series, and it's called The Hookup Plan, and it's following like enemies to one night stand that happened during a high school reunion. And it turns out, I'm not sure if she works in the medical field, but I believe he's a millionaire and he's about to buy out the hospital that is really important to her. So they having some issues, okay? Like, she thought the one night stand would happen and she could move the hell on with her life, but now he's like a thorn in her foot. A thorn in her thumb? Why am I not remembering the sayings? Like, he's like a thorn in her side, okay? My brain is just fried after writing all these notes, but he's a thorn in her side, so they having issues. They're enemies, quote unquote, and it's just like a slow burn. Little moment, you know what I'm saying? We love to see a millionaire as one of the love interests, okay? Run the check, brother. Okay, the next one I'm super excited to talk about. So the next one that I have to recommend is not out yet. I believe it comes out in April of this year, and it's called Pardon My Frenchie. And this one is following a main character that has a doggy business. I think it's like a daycare or something like that for dogs. She's looking to open another business and expand, but the building that she wants, one of her customers' grandsons is about to buy the building, and she don't like that, okay? But he is also looking after his grandmother's dog, which is a poodle. And he has the dog going to her daycare, her boarding school or whatever. And a video goes viral of the main character, whose name is Ashanti, and his grandmother's dog having like a little Lady in the Tramp moment where they're like sharing a little doggy biscuit together. So like they're super popular, and they feel like they can like play on this in a way in order for it to benefit both of them. But they have a little bit of an issue because she wants the building and he wants the building too. And apparently he wants the building because he's ex-military. He wants to make it into a dive bar for people to come and hang out. They have a little bit of an issue here, okay? But it just looks cute. The cover looks cute. The plot sounds really unique and different, and I'm just excited because I just love when animals are added into the plot. Like they're just so cute and cuddly. So I'm excited to see how this book goes. Okay, so the next book that I have to recommend is In It to Win It, and this one is following a main character that looks after foster children, and she really wants a building that she can kind of spruce up in order for them to transfer over to said building when they become young adults, like in between places to stay, stuff like that, to look out for the children that are in the foster care. But the problem is there is the love interest that also wants to buy the building, and the only way they can get the building is if they compete in this Iron Man contest. And turns out they're also exes. Like she broke up with him, didn't explain anything, and ghosted him. So he already don't like her, and come to find out she's also in this competition and she also wants this building. So he's out for blood. But it just sounds cute. It sounds interesting. I really like these different plots. Like all these plots just sound so unique and fun to me. So I'm interested to see how this one goes. And the cover is cute. The cover is very cute. So the next one that I have to recommend is Business Not As Usual. And this one has also, like all of the books I'm recommending, funny, rom-com, whatever, were all in the reviews, all in the tag words, all in the description. So just know that going into all of these books, you're going to be laughing and having a good time. So this one is following the main character who is kind of like stuck in this dead-end secretary job. She's trying to finish her bachelor's degree, and she's just keeping her fingers crossed that eventually she is going to win the lottery. Like she has been going and getting lottery tickets as like a tradition that she's been doing with her grandfather for quite a while, and she still ain't win yet. But she's hoping for the best. I believe it's a opposites attract workplace romance, and the love interest is very well off. His family wants him to date someone that's of stature, and it's not her. Like they are not gonna go for this woman as being his love interest. Well, he's trying to like fight the urge because he just really likes her and he thinks she's hilarious, but he's worried about how his family will react. So, you know, workplace romance, opposites attract, a little moment, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a good time. And it seems like she's gonna be the one that brings the funny, so I'm interested to see how that goes. And that's 15. On to the next page. So the next one that I have to recommend is The Build Up, and this one follows the main character who is trying to go into this new workplace with happy thoughts. But her first day does not go well, and the person that witnesses her meltdown and witnesses her at her worst is now gonna be in a project with her. Like, imagine getting the shit embarrassed out of you with a coworker, and then you have to work with said coworker. Like, that's like a constant reminder of what this person saw. But nevertheless, they are forced to work together. So this is another workplace romance, and we got some curvy girl rep. I see some really good reviews on this one, and I think she's gonna bring the funny. I'm interested to see what books have like two main characters that are equally funny, and sometimes neither one of them are funny, but their dynamic together is what makes the book funny. So I'm interested to see how this one goes. The next one that I have to recommend is The Good Ones Are Taken, and this one is a love triangle moment. I've been seeing a lot of romance books coming out with black leads that have a love triangle moment, and this one is between best friends. He kind of admits to her that he's in love with her. And she also has a prospect of a doctor that she's been seeing, so she's kind of stuck in between the two, doesn't know which one to date. And I think 2 of her best friends are getting married, and they're like, you need to find somebody to bring to this wedding because you can't show up here single and without a man. So she's kind of like trying to try out dating, and that's when her best friend kind of admits to her that he's in love with her, but she already kind of seen this doctor. So we're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna see who she picks, or if we get a polyamorous relationship going. I don't think that's gonna happen, but maybe she'll pick neither one. We don't know, but that's how love triangles go. We'll see. But yeah, so she's deciding if she wants to pursue a romantic relationship with her best friend, or kind of keep the friendship and pursue the doctor. But a doctor, sister? The best friend would just have to stay a friend, because the next one that I have to recommend is The Neighbor Favor, and this one was circling around all platforms for quite a while. I saw it on Instagram a lot, I saw it on Book Talk a lot, and this one just has such an interesting premise. It's basically following the main character whose neighbor actually turns out to be the author of a book that she really, really loves, and she don't even know. That's the crazy thing. And he ends up finding out who she is because they've been exchanging emails back and forth for quite a while, and she doesn't even know who he is. And I just think it's cute. They end up getting to know each other, and she kind of asks for his help because she's trying to get into dating, so she's kind of asking him to be like her wingman, and he ends up falling for her. I love when the trope includes someone trying to play like matchmaker or the wingman or whatever, and in the process they end up falling for the person they're trying to match people up with. I just think that's so cute because you get these little slow moments where it's just like they slowly start falling for this person and they don't even realize it's happening until it's like bam, love confession. So I think it's gonna be cute, and the cover's cute too. So heard good things. Hopefully it's as good as it sounds. The next one that I have to recommend is Play to Win, and this one is following a main character who wins the lottery, but her and her ex-husband are still legally married, and he has access to that money because they never got divorced. Could you imagine? Like, could you imagine winning the lottery and your ex-husband has the opportunity to get some of that money? Like, insanity. So this is like a second chance romance, but for me, I simply wouldn't believe it. I simply wouldn't go for it because it's like, where was this love and the second chance opportunity before I won the lottery? Like, I would never trust him. I would think that he just showed up because I won the damn lottery. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I think that whole dynamic is going to be absolutely hilarious because they clearly don't like each other if they're estranged spouses. So I'm interested to see how this one goes, child, and how they're going to convince me that this man isn't going for a second chance romance just because she won the lottery. I'm interested to see. So the next one that I have to recommend is The Partner Plot, and this one is following 2 exes that were high school sweethearts. After she has a very public breakup with her ex-fiance, they end up doing like this fake dating thing because it could benefit both of them. She's also a celebrity stylist, so I think that's like unique and interesting. I'm just interested to see because we got high school sweethearts, we got a celebrity stylist, we got second chance romance, the cover is cute, it just looks fun, and I'm pretty sure they end up running into each other. I don't know if they're in Vegas, but I think they end up running into each other, and then they just have a night of like YOLO, you know what I'm saying? They live in young, pretending to just be happy, free, whatever, and then they wake up and they're married. So I don't know what happened. Some drinks clearly were involved because if they don't remember getting married the night before, I don't know how that happened. But yeah, they end up being married, and then they decide like, you know what, let's just stay married and let's just use this to benefit us. So that's where it goes from there. So the next one I have to recommend is A Legend in the Baking, and this is the second book in the series. I read the first one. I ain't like it, but I'm hopeful that the second one will be better because these characters were interesting to me. They kind of were in the background, so I'm interested to see them in the front. And it's basically following the main character who I believe is he an NFL player? I can't remember. But the main character who does this whole spiel about this whole like speech in the baking shop that ends up going viral. Their romance, they also have a romance that could benefit both of them. Like, the fake dating thing is always interesting to me, how they force it, child. Sometimes they force it, but sometimes they come up with good reasons for them to actually fake date. But yeah, this video goes viral of him doing this whole speech about women in baking and gender roles and all this stuff, and everyone loves him, child. There's that. But the cover is cute. I like football players that bake cupcakes, or big boys that bake cupcakes, you know what I'm saying? I just think that's so cute. Like, whenever I hear like a football player opened a cupcake shop, like, that's just cute to me. And I believe it's his friend, or I know he's like an employee there, but it's not his shop, but he does bake the cupcakes. So I think they have like a fake dating trope going on, and it goes from there. So the next one that I have to recommend is the Kiss Countdown, and this one is following the main character, who is an interior designer, and she's struggling. Like, it's not looking good for her, and she ends up, so it's following the main character, who is a struggling interior designer, and she's about to get kicked out of her apartment, and she ends up running into her ex, and she kind of panics and like grabs the guy closest to her to pretend that he's her boyfriend. And it turns out he's an astronaut, and he has like 3 months left to stay on Earth. Sounds weird to say, but to stay on Earth before his mission. So they kind of like ride out this fake dating trope, because it could benefit both of them. It could benefit him, the public eye, and it could benefit her, because he says, like, you know, he kind of likes her. He's like, you know, she's pretty, she's nice, you know, let's see where we could take this. And he kind of gives her the opportunity to agree to the fake dating, because it'll benefit him more. And the benefit for her will be he will let her stay at his apartment rent-free. So he'll give her her own room rent-free if she agrees to the fake dating trope, so he can look like this astronaut that's like engaged or whatever, and she's gonna see him away on his mission, because it'll benefit his popularity, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's unique. I have never read a romance book that has an astronaut as the main character. Like, what? I love it. Like, I love to see it. I'm interested to see how it goes. Like, the cover is really cute, and I just think the whole plot is just interesting. So I'm excited. So the next one that I have to recommend is Team Players, and it follows 2 hockey captains. I rarely see a female hockey captain, so that's really interesting to me. But they're like friends with benefits turned lovers, I believe. It turns into like it develops into a romance, and he's like an ex-playboy as well. So I like the ex-playboy trope. It's interesting to see how it all pans out. It always works out for the best, but interested to see, because we got 2 black leads. Both of them are captains of the hockey team, and I think it'll be cute. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this one goes. I've heard really good things about it. I read the first book in the series, so I'm interested to see how the second book is. So the next one that I have to recommend is While We Were Dating, and this one is following this movie star who is given the opportunity to work on an ad campaign, and she ends up falling for the person that's the lead for that marketing deal. And they kind of agree to like be friends with benefits, but it turns into a romance, and it gets a little bit more complicated. They agree to do like the fake dating thing, but then it turns into friends with benefits, and then it turns into a romance. So it just snowballs. Like, it just snowballs, because the fake dating would benefit both of them, and as far as popularity, I think it would benefit her more to have a boyfriend. But yeah, it would benefit them in a way, but and then it snowballs into a romance. But we love to see it, because we love love, and that's okay. So the next one that I have to recommend is the Single Dads Club, and this one is basically following a newly single dad who ends up moving back to his hometown to get help from his grandmother, and he gets to know this waitress who is set on introducing him to the other single dads in town, so that he can build a little bit of a community and have help. And even though it has a little bit of heavier topics as far as like being a parent and being a single parent, I think it'll be cute. The cover looks cute, and it just sounds different, because I would like to see like the single dad not just go and try to find a nanny, but it'd be like a single dad that's trying to build a community and get help in like this new chapter of his life. And if she ends up helping him along the way, then that's fine too. But I think this is just like a different spin on like the single dad trope, so I think that'll be really cool. Okay, so the next one that I have to recommend is Devon and Chris. This one is following 2 female main characters. This is a sapphic romance, but both of them are in a reality TV show, and they have to convince their families within a specific amount of time that they're engaged. They're doing a fake engagement, but the point of it is if they convince their family that they're actually engaged to this person that their family has never met, then they win the cash prize. So they're supposed to be fake dating, and this is not supposed to be real, but they end up falling for each other, and it just was fun. Like, I enjoyed the book. One of the main characters was a little bit insufferable. She annoyed me a little bit, but overall I enjoyed their dynamic. And the other main character also hasn't even told her family that she is gay, so she not only has to convince them that she's engaged, she also has to come out. And she ended up signing up for this reality show to kind of force her to do this. So I don't know, I think it was interesting, it was unique. I like books that have reality TV in it because it's just fun, and yeah, I enjoyed it, so I recommend this one as well. I think the rest that I have are KU books. Obviously you can still buy these physically, but I've seen these on KU, so I'm gonna talk about some KU books. Okay, the first one that I have is Hot for the Teacher, and this one is following a main character who goes on a night on the town and has a one-night stand, and then she brings her child to school and finds out that her child's teacher is the guy she had a one-night stand with, and he is very infatuated with her, so he wants it to develop into a romance, and she's kind of just like, stay away from me, I'm trying to focus on my kid, this is not professional, I don't want to deal with that. But I think the dynamic is just hilarious. Like, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing as hell to have like a one-night stand, and then you bring your child to school and his teacher is literally the guy you had a one-night stand with. Like, you're gonna see this man every day and have to be in contact with him all the time until your child moves on to the next grade. Like, hilarious. But the cover is cute. I think the whole dynamic will be hilarious, especially when she walks in and sees who he is. That's gonna be funny to me, honestly. So I'm interested to see how it goes, you know what I'm saying. The cover is cute, and yeah, I recommend this one. Okay, I have another one to recommend, but I'm sure you've heard about this one, and it is Only for the Week. And this one is following the main character who is going to a combined bachelorette party for her sister, but her sister is marrying her ex. That's messy. That alone is messy, but honestly, the friendship group, they're hilarious. They kept me laughing the whole time. They're interesting. There's a lot of banter between different characters. It's just fun to follow along, like, and the romance, the steamy scenes are just phenomenal, honestly. I'm not gonna hold you. And the love interest is just so swoony. Like, he's so attentive, he listens to her, he kind of pushes her to stand up for herself more, because she kind of is like one of those characters that just like is her family whatever they want, so they can just leave her alone. And that also includes not standing up for herself. Like, a lot of the things she should stand up for herself in certain situations, she kind of just like lets it ride out, because she's like, you know what, this is my sister's big day, even though he's my ex, like, I'm really not checking for him, so I really just don't care, so let me just be here for support. But every which way they can try, they keep trying to make it seem like she's so pressed for him, and she's not. So that's frustrating. And I believe the love interest is his best friend, so there's that. It's just overall messy, but honestly, it was a good time, and it was funny. And there are some deeper topics, but overall, I really did laugh out loud reading this book. So the next one that I have to recommend is one that I've talked about before, but I love it. I would love to see Netflix adapt some like short novellas and do like, I don't know, like a little short series where there's like 10 episodes of like short black romances, you know what I'm saying, that are based off of novellas. That would be fun. Hello, that would be fun, Netflix. Anyway, I really recommend Mistletoe Blues. This one is so much fun. It's basically following a main character who works at like the Santa exhibit, you know, where the kids come and they sit in Santa's lap and whatever, all this stuff. Yeah, so she works there, and she kind of is like dared to like sit on Santa's lap, and he ends up being super fun, and he pursues her and takes her on these dates, and they kind of do like this scavenger hunt thing, which was so much fun. And just their whole dynamic was just, it was a good time. It was short, but it was fun, and it was funny. The love interest was hilarious to me, and I just love their whole dynamic. I keep recommending this book. I wish more people would read it, but the scavenger hunt, it's always gonna be a win for me. I really had a good time reading this one. It was fun, it was short, it was sweet, and if you looking for something during the Christmas time or even right now, if it's just something you want to pick up that's short, I highly recommend it. The next one that I have to recommend is The Last Minute First Lady. This one follows the main character who is running for governor. He's the youngest running governor and his popularity is through the roof. But something happens where he starts losing popularity, and the only way he feels like he can gain it back would be by being married. So he ends up pursuing this journalist who also just lost this big story that she was gonna break. So she don't got no money. She needs something to do. He approaches her to pretend to be his wife because it'll benefit him in the popularity polls. So it's just their fake dating trope or fake marriage trope. It has a lot of, you know, funny tag words, so highly recommend that. The next one that I have to recommend is One More Shot, and this one is following the main character that is a photographer, and the female main character, they've already had a one-night stand. It was like 2 years ago, and he's still hung up on her, and he like wants the chance to be back in her life romantically. This also is an ex-players trope, and she kind of just like is not going for it. She's trying to focus on her own life. She does not want to be involved in a romance, but he slowly starts to crack the shell. The cover is cute. I believe it seems cute. It has really good reviews, and I've read another book by this author, and her writing is fun. So it puts me in the mind of Mimi Grace. So if you like Mimi Grace books and you want something a little bit more deep, then I recommend this author. We are now entering the interracial realm. So the next 10 books that I have to recommend all include black leads, but their love interests or interests are not black. If it's not something you're interested in, feel free to click off. I've given plenty of recommendations of other books you can check out that will make you laugh. So if you don't want to check these out, that's fine too. But the first one that I have to recommend is Lipstick and Camera Clicks. And I think I've talked about this one in a recent video. I think it was like the 30-second book recommendation one. It follows the main character who is in a bit of a love triangle, but I've read a lot of the reviews and it seems like a lot of people are saying it's more focused on her finding herself and pursuing like her interests and things that make her happy. Overall, she is in a reality show, and the producer of the reality show is someone she don't like. They are rivals. He ends up being romantically interested in her, and I believe the other love interest is her best friend. So yeah. One of the love interests is always like a best friend that ends up falling for the main character, but we love to see it. The cover is cute. I've heard good things about it. It's also low on the steamier side, so if you're someone that doesn't really prefer too much steam in your books, then I recommend this one as well. The next 3 books I have to recommend are obviously books that you have seen before, and it is the Brown Sisters. Okay, this one has been circulating all over every platform for years now, and I just think this, if it was adapted, would just be a phenomenal series on screen. Like, a lot of these would be so good on screen. So Netflix, take notes. Hulu, take notes. Amazon Prime, whoever, take notes, because these would be great if they were adapted. Everyone knows what the Brown Sisters are about. Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and I can't remember the third one. All the Brown Sisters are funny. They have great friendship dynamics. They have great family dynamics. They're fun to follow along. So I highly recommend those 3 books. The next one that I have to recommend is The Problem with Dating. This one follows the main character in another business rival. Interesting. They're business rivals. I think she has a doggy daycare. He just opened a restaurant directly across from her doggy daycare, which is like not good. But her ex-husband is like on her back and basically stalking her and getting on her nerves, so she ends up coming up with this fake dating trope and using him. So it's business rivals turn enemies, turn fake dating, and we have a bitter ex-husband. So I just love the scenes where they like confess their love and rub it in his face, and that's also when the main character finds out that they're in love with them. I love those scenes where the exes are still involved and the new love interest gets to stand up for them. I love it. I live, laugh, love for it. Okay, we're getting down to the last few books. Your girl is tired, okay? We got to get these done before I run out of battery and before my live show starts, okay? So let's see what we got. So the next one that I have is Mickey Chambers Shakes It Up. And this one follows the main character who is at a dead-end job and she needs extra income, so she ends up taking up a second job as a bartender. and there's kind of like this romance between her and the bar owner. And the bar owner, is he widowed? Like, I don't know what men are called when their spouse dies, but he's a widower. He's a widower, and he's basically trying to get this bar up and running because it's his late wife's bar. So he wants it to be successful. It's not successful, but when she becomes a bartender, she shakes things up. Shakes things up, gives new ideas, introduces new customers, so it's going well. There's also the like secret identity trope, because I think she also has a third job. Who the hell doesn't? She has a third job where she is teaching online, and he's pursuing his online degree, and she's his teacher, and she doesn't realize it. But yeah, so I just think the cover is cute. I think it'll be fun. It's an interesting dynamic, and it's said to be very funny. The next one that I have to recommend is Vanessa Jared's Got a Man, and I love this one. Like, I need to see more interracial romances that aren't just black women and white men. Like, there's South Asian men, Korean men, Chinese men, you know what I'm saying? Like, can we get a mix? There's Samoan. Like, where are the Samoan love interests? We need more of them in books, because I'm tired of the white men and black female love interest. Like please, let's mix it up. We got other races, we got other opportunities. Interracial could be anything, okay? Please mix it up. And I highly recommend Samoan main characters. But anyway, okay. That's beside the point. This one's following a main character whose ex-husband is currently dating this sheriff from a small town's little sister, and he wants him away from his little sister. He does not trust this man, and she needs someone to convince her that he's a terrible person. Okay, so he ends up running into her, and they kind of come together to convince the sister that her ex is terrible and that he's lying about a lot of things that he's told her in order to make him look like the victim, which is insane. Which one of the things I think is he told her that his ex-wife died, which is crazy. And she's like, no, I'm still alive, still very much alive. So it's just fun because she ends up going to the small town, or I think she just lives in a small town. So she's in this small town, and she's kind of like revamping her life. She got money, she's chilling, she's newly single, divorcee, and they're trying to save his little sister, basically, child. But it's funny, it's fun, the steamy scenes are great. I love the friendship dynamics between her and her best friends, and it's just a good time. I'm excited for the next book that's coming out as well. So overall, I had a really good time reading this one. I listened to it on audiobook, but I think you could read it either way. The next one that I have to recommend is One Last Job, and this is by the same author that I recommended for One Shot. And this one is following an interior designer who's like down on her luck, child. She's trying to make it at this business, and she's basically the reason why they're doing so well, but she does not get the recognition. She does not get the same opportunities that she feel like she deserved, and she damn sure is not getting the financial compensation that she deserves. So she ends up doing this final job, and she just says, I'm gonna change, you know, I'm gonna turn a new leaf after I do this final job. And the guy she ends up working for, she overhears him talking badly about her job and basically saying like, oh, they want too much money to design this place. I think they have like, he's coming out with a bar or something like that. But he's saying like, oh, because he's cheap and he is a workaholic, and he just feels like interior design shouldn't cost that much, and he's just bad mouthing her job before he even meets her. And then he walks in the building, and she just is like giving him the stank face, because she just like, I just heard you talking all this shit about me. But it's their romance. It's a workplace romance. It's a slow burn, very sweet, very adorable. Oh my god, very very cute. And there are conversations around like work anxiety and just things like that, family woes, being mistreated by family, toxic family members, stuff like that. But overall, it's a really good book. It's very cute, it's short. I feel like she puts me in the mind of Mimi Grace, but with a touch of like heavier topics. So if you like Mimi Grace books, you like the shortness of her books, but you want some more depth to them, then I recommend her books. The next one that I have to recommend is 1 Week in Paradise, and this is following a main character who I believe is an influencer, and she gets the opportunity to go to a trip, but she has to be in a relationship for said trip that she won, and she not in a relationship. So she asked her brother best friend like, hey, like, will you go on this trip with me and pretend to be my boyfriend so I can like enjoy the trip? And he's like, sure. So they go on the trip together and they end up falling for each other. It's like a romantic getaway. I just think it's so cute. I love vacation and romantic getaways. And the cover's adorable, and this is the same author. One More Shot and The Last Job, all from the same series, so I believe they're all interconnected. The final one that I have to recommend is Do You Take This Man? And this one is following workplace rivals. One is a wedding planner and one is a wedding officiant, and it's not what you think, because the wedding planner is the male main character and the wedding officiant is the female main character. And there is a wedding clip that goes viral, something like that, of a wedding that she officiates, and somehow, some way, they end up being forced into a fake dating trope to benefit her more than anything. They end up having to work together for the same wedding, and it turns into slow burn romance. And I just think it's fun. Anything that involves like I don't like you vibes turned into something fun, it's always going to be a good time. And I think it's going to be interesting to read that one as well. Funny, because it seems like the male main character is very uppity and very rude and thinks he'd know every damn thing. So there's that. That is it. Those are all the books, and I have a live show in like 20 seconds, so I need to get the hell out of here. I hope you guys found some really good recommendations. If you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comment section below. If you have any recommendations that are sapphic, that have 2 black leads, that have a rom-com feel, because I found a few sapphic books, but they were more serious. They weren't funny, so I didn't add them to this list. But if you have any sapphic recommendations that have 2 black leads, please leave them in the comment section below. Let me know which ones you added to your TBR. Let me know how your reading month is going. If you made it to the end, please leave this emoji right here in the comment section below so I know you made it to the end. Always remember, read a book, keep your life interested, and I'll see you next time. I will see you next time, okay? Bye, guys. Shh.